long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Florida State actually used to win this game. However, that was a long time ago.
Hampton, Lorenzo Hampton's got the first down and yards to spare. Still breaking tackles, Lorenzo Hampton. A touchdown! Touchdown!
Irwin Bell, little pop down the middle. The pass is complete to Frankie Neal, and Neal is on his way. Touchdown, Florida. And they're 22, 7-3, Florida leading. A big play. One man to beat. Touchdown, Florida.
On 3rd down and 7. Bell has time across the middle. Touchdown, Florida.
Today, the Seminoles hope to enter a new dimension.
Seminole Preview, a pregame look at Florida State Seminoles and the Florida Gators, is brought to you in part by Barnett Banks. Barnett is Florida's bank.
Wake up. Wake up.
Looks like a great day to beat the Gators.
The program may say the official kickoff is at 12:10, but as you have just seen, this game has been underway since the crack of dawn. Good morning, everybody. I'm Bob Warren, along with my colleague Scott Atwell. We are here live in Gainesville, and I'm telling you, in a sea of orange and blue, and as you can see, only about 100 yards from where it's all going to happen. The 30th meeting between the Florida State University Seminoles and the University of Florida Fighting Gators. This game is about streaks and pressure, and frankly, Scotty, I think all the pressure is on Florida State.
I couldn't agree more, Bob. For the first time in a long while, it seems like the Seminoles are the team with everything to lose. They come in as solid 9-point favorites, ranked 3rd in the country with an impressive 9-1 record, and you stir in those facts, Florida's 6-game winning streak, and there you have it, the recipe for pressure, perhaps, in the Seminole locker room.
And how about this? We'll cover this later, but throw in this fact. At home this season, even though it's been a roller coaster ride for the Gators, they are 5-0, averaging 43 points a game. You were talking about a recipe for an upset as well, but Florida State, as you will see, is very confident. We'll have all of that and a whole bunch more when we come back live from Gainesville with the FSU Florida pregame show. Stick around. Stay with us.
I don't know.
Hey, this is Tommy Thomas, real 65, hook 1.
Hi, folks. All of you know my little sister, Carolyn, but most of you haven't met my...
Boy, I hate to think about how long I've been doing this. That is, my family serving this part of the country in the automobile business. But when I do, I think about the things that I've learned. I know you must treat people with dignity, honestly, and fairly, and with respect. That's what we do, and that's why our business continues to grow.
I'm Bobby Bacon for the Earl Bacon Agency. This is my son Gregory and my nephew Tony. As you can see, we're hoping they'll be Seminoles one day, although Grandpa may have a different idea. The future of all our children is important now. At the Earl Bacon Agency, insuring against catastrophe is just one good investment, and securing your future through sound financial management is another. So if there's a little Seminole in your future, make sure there's a future for your little Seminole. See the Earl Bacon Agency today for all of your insurance and financial needs.
Enjoy the Monticello Hometown Christmas Celebration, Saturday, November 28th, beginning at 10 a.m. with Santa, carolers, a children's Christmas parade, a barbecue, and a community Christmas service following the celebration at 6 p.m. Sponsored by State Farm Insurance, Tommy Searles Agent, Edenfield True Value Hardware, Farmers and Merchants Bank, Milady Shop, First National Bank, Jackson's Drugstore, Century 21 Winston Connell Realtor, First Federal Savings and Loan, Monticello Florists and Gifts, and Builders Mart. Share the spirit of Christmas with us, November 28th.
I'm not demanding. I just have an expectation of excellence. I want the best, quality and commitment. And for my car, I want Super Lube and Pennzoil. In 10 minutes, I get an oil and a filter change, chassis lube, and 10-point maintenance check. No surprises, just quick, easy car care at a fair price. I'm not hard to please. Just give me your best shot and show me you care.
All set, Coach.
Super Lube gets the job done. Super Lube and Pennzoil, an unbeatable team.
Welcome back to Gainesville and our live preview of the Florida State-Florida game. This place is an absolute madhouse, as you could well imagine. 75,000 people cramming into Florida Field right now for the kickoff, which is still about 25 minutes away. Now, if personal pride is not ample incentive for Florida State today, then surely the matter of the national championship is. They'll need help to gain that. However, they are definitely in the picture, brought on by a glittering 9-1 season. It all began back on September 5th with Glitz, the throwing of the spear by its most famous alumnus. Ever since, save for a game and a single point, the Seminoles have stuck it in every opponent's ear. The first 3 games were the expected walks in the park. In the opener against Texas Tech, the defense was suspect. The offense was smoking, as Danny McManus hit a pair of touchdown passes that sparked the Tribe to an easy win. Then it was on to Greenville, North Carolina, and East Carolina University, where Sammy Smith made the Pirates eat 244 yards of plank, including this 83-yard touchdown run, as the Tribe smothered ECU 44-3. The following week, it was back home to the mud muck in Memphis State, where the Tigers ran into the other back. Dexter Carter was brutal, accounting for 311 yards overall. The Seminoles were 29-point favorites. They won it by 17. Florida State was now 3-0 and on the move in the polls up to number 6. But they hadn't played anybody. Anybody came on September 26th in East Lansing, Michigan, where the Seminoles got a solid A for abusing eventual Big Ten champion and Rose Bowl-bound Michigan State. The defense kept the Spartans in neutral all day, while the offense put it in reverse.
Florida State, first down, there's that end around. Lewis has the ball again, number 7. He's being chased by Joe Bergen. He breaks out. He's to the 40. He's to the 35, 30, 25, 20. Lewis is going all the way.
The Michigan State win was so impressive, Florida State vaulted into the top 5, with third-ranked Miami up next at home before a national TV audience. It was the best college game of the year, period. The only thing missing for Florida State was the foot in football. The kicking game went haywire. Bad snaps, missed extra points, missed field goals, killed the Seminoles. In the end, it would come down to a loss of confidence in the kicking game. In the final moments, Florida State rallied with only 43 seconds left. Danny Mack hit Ronnie Lewis with an 18-yard strike to make it 26-25. But Bobby Bowden had so little faith in place kicker Derek Schmidt, who had missed 2 field goals and an extra point, he decided to go for 2 and the win.
No good. Miami leads it 26-25 with 42 seconds to go. The gamble fails in Tallahassee.
The headline told it all. It would be the only blemish on Florida State's season. There would be hell to pay after the Miami loss. In the next 3 games, Florida State would first roll over Southern Miss 61-10. The following week, they brushed off pesky Louisville despite 120 yards and penalties 32-9. Then on October 31st, they play the role of homecoming heavies to perfection, slicing up Tulane on a Halloween night massacre.
As Florida State looking at a 3rd down and 4, they'll get a lot off of this one. Sammy Smith put all kinds of real estate ahead of him. Smith, 20, he's going to go all the way.
The final 73-14. Florida State was on a roll, back in the top 5 again and getting ready for a monster of a game. The unbeaten 6th-ranked Auburn Tigers at their place, a place where the Seminoles had never won. Despite a 7-1 record and a killer offense, their embarrassing past came back to haunt them. All week long, the Seminoles were reminded they couldn't win the big one. There were no excuses. The numbers told the truth. But there would be no El Foldo this time around. The Seminoles smashed and mashed the Tigers, who on this day were toothless. It was a total mismatch.
McManus to Lewis, touchdown Florida State.
It was an easy-as-you-please 34-6 win. The victory not only put the clamps on the doubters, it also put the Seminoles in the Fiesta Bowl on New Year's Day. Furman was the only hurdle left on the road to Gainesville and the Florida Gators. And Sammy Smith took care of that with a coast-to-coast ride on I-95. 95 yards for the touchdown. It broke open a close game as the Seminoles roared to a 41-10 victory. It all adds up to a number 3 ranking, a 9-1 record, a New Year's Day bowl game, an offense that averages nearly 500 yards a game, a defense that only allows 12 points per outing, and a collision course head-on today with their personal nemesis, the Florida Gators.
Now, this is the 30th anniversary of this series. Game 30 will be today, but Sergeant Pepper once said it was actually 20 years ago today that FSU began to play in this series.
You better believe it, Bob. It took a while before the Seminoles' veritable Davids began to slay Goliath. A tie in the series came about the 3rd game. The first victory was in 1964, but the Seminoles didn't really believe they began to grow up in this series with the Florida Gators until 20 years ago. This game, 1967, the first time the Seminoles beat the Gators at Florida Field, and what a victory that was for Bill Peterson and company.
Too, an amazing sidebar to that story, Ron Sellers had a terrific game for Florida State on that day. He was the most prolific receiver in NCAA history until only, 2 weeks ago when Mark Zeno of Tulane broke it, right? So
they upset Larry Rentz and company in the Gators. It was a big victory for the Seminoles right here at Florida Field. So the 20th anniversary of that victory, maybe it is a good omen for the Florida State Seminoles as they prepare for the 30th game today in Gainesville. All right, when we come back, we'll take a look at Florida's season to date as those Gator fans are tailgating here in Gainesville, looking forward to a big contest kickoff only minutes away. Stay with us.
Here, why don't you look through this one, huh?
Oh, what's the point?
Just get on with it.
Okay, listen to this. We're happy with the kind of service we get from Barnett. It feels like home.
Okay, just great. Barnett must be paying these people.
We just moved here to Florida. Barnett treated us like old friends.
All this niceness is depressing.
I hate Barnett.
Hey, that's terrific. Who said that?
I did.
Barnett believes that when you give your customers what they want, they stay your customers.
Christmas.
The Gem Collection.
Dazzling.
Dramatic.
Romantic.
Elegant.
Uninhibited.
The Gem Collection.
Mysterious.
Exuberant.
Classic.
Pleasures.
Treasures.
Start your Christmas collection at the Gem Collection, Carriage Gate Center.
Presenting great moments in Mays Monroe appliance history, Mays Monroe joins National Buying Group and teams up with Amana to give customers top-of-the-line appliances at competitive prices.
This week, save on this compact Amana microwave oven with big size features, 500 watts of cooking power, touch control system, 9 power levels, AccuThaw automatic defrost system, and time of day clock.
Mays Monroe, giving immediate response to you, the customer, with the best service, selection, quality, and price. Mays Monroe, a hometown business with generations of experience.
One thing to know about computers is Computerland, and now you should know Computerland has moved to the pavilions on Market Street.
Hi, I'm Pat Lytle. Here's the Apple IIgs.
Its colorful and powerful capabilities make it the ultimate personal computer. 15 voice and sound capability, a high-resolution color graphics monitor, the ability to use programs from the Apple IIc and IIe, 1 megabyte of memory expansion.
You'll find answers at Computerland in the pavilions on Market Street.
Welcome back to our live preview of the Florida State game from Gainesville. I'm telling you, look around, Scotty. It's absolutely an amazing sight. I'm talking about tens of thousands of people in orange and blue, an occasional smattering of garnet and gold, though.
A few Seminoles.
Indeed. We've already told you about the glorious season of Florida State to this point. Let us downshift just a bit now to what can only be called a season of frustration for the Gators.
Well, Bob, it may be a cliche, but it's one that's appropriate in this case. The Gators this year have known the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat.
Oh, no.
Here's Ken Tomac.
While not completely a disappointment, Florida's 6-4 season to this point can best be termed frustrating. And the tone for that was set very early with that first game in Miami. The Miami series is one of Florida's longest-running engagements, and the Hurricanes made September 5th one of the longest afternoons in orange and blue history. Miami christened its new cruiser, quarterback Steve Walsh, who picked up where Vinny Testaverde left off by throwing for 234 yards and a touchdown. Meantime, the Gators' Kerwin Bell took the brunt of the storm. The Canes battered him like a rowboat in a monsoon. Final, Miami 31, Florida 4.
I realized, and I tried to tell people that before the season that we were under sanctions. We were suffering from the sanctions. We couldn't recruit the way other people could 2 years ago, and I tried to brace people for that. But people get carried away and didn't realize what the bottom line was.
The bottom line was that Florida was 0-1 in shell shock. But Tulsa was the best medicine they could ask for. The Golden Hurricane was downgraded to a tropical depression midway through the second quarter when Florida found a rainmaker of their own.
Here's Emmett Smith with the 50. One man to beat. 20, 10, touchdown Gators.
Smith's 109 yards and only 10 carries made big noise. But the freshman was quietly looking past his team's 52-0 blowout win as the SEC schedule loomed ahead.
This win don't really count to me. I'm looking forward to the next week. That's the one that's really going to count. If we can win against Alabama and go on and win the rest of our conference game, those are the ones that really mean something.
And in a place where legends live on, it was only fitting that a new one be written as Florida traveled to Alabama for the first time in almost a decade. And Emmitt Smith carved his name into the Florida record books with 224 yards in his first collegiate start. Florida won 23-14, and the sky looked like the limit. Back home against Mississippi State, the newly named Florida Flash did it again. 173 yards and 3 touchdowns in a 38-3 win. For the first time in 2 years, Florida was 2-0 in the SEC and on top of the conference standings. The fall from grace was as sudden as it was inexplicable. LSU was determined to stop Smith and the Gators in Baton Rouge on the first Saturday night in October. They did neither. They didn't stop Smith. He picked up 184 yards. And Florida stopped themselves. Drop passes, crucial mistakes, and a missed field goal cost Florida in a 13-10 loss.
And after the LSU game, it was really, and that's probably the most down I was at after a win or after a game this year. But I think we turned it around after that game.
The only mistakes made the next 2 weeks were by Cal State, Fullerton, and Temple. Both teams showed up. Police in California are still searching for the remains of the Cal State team that was massacred 65-0. And the Gators chewed up the Temple Owls and spit out the Feathers 34-3 at homecoming. The Gators were 5-2 and being spoken of like the Florida teams of 1984 and 85. Almost everyone believed it.
The media and fans and everyone got a little bit too excited when we were sitting there 5-2 with the games coming up. We had 4 tough football games.
All of Florida's laughter turned to sorrow in the next 2 weeks. The brutal back-to-back border wars with Auburn and Georgia. On the Gators' first play at Auburn, Bell laid the prettiest little bomb on the plains right on Ernie Mills' hands.
It's incomplete. At the 30-yard line of Auburn, and Ernie Mills had an easy 6 if he'd been able to pull that ball in. Wow.
Florida could do nothing right, and Auburn's bad boy quarterback Jeff Berger was very, very good. Before the clock struck midnight on Halloween Eve, Florida had turned into a pumpkin. And again, it was their own mistakes that had done it.
You go out to win, and if it don't happen, you just have to look at what you did. You make your mistakes, and you look at them in the film, and you try to correct them, and you come into the next ball game hoping not to make the same mistakes as you did.
Kind of just play through it. You can't really dwell on it, because if you dwell on, we played bad last week, and we didn't play well, and we lost. it carries over to the next week, and you know, that tends to make you play bad again, and that puts you in the rut.
Florida played more like it was in a fog than a rut against Georgia in Jacksonville. The Bulldogs ran the ball down the Gators' throats until Florida choked. The scoreboard said 23-10, but where the Gators really looked to be on the short end was in the heart department.
People question the emotions in the Auburn and Georgia game. We didn't have a chance to show emotions. Everything positive happened for them, and everything negative happened for us.
Kentucky was next, and with memories of last season's loss to the Wildcats that knocked them out of bowl contention, the Gators wasted no time answering the question of heart. Stacy Simmons stopped a lot of hearts himself when he returned the opening kick all the way. The 27-14 win clinched Florida's first bowl berth in 4 years. Christmas in Hawaii will be nice, but first there's Florida State. The Gators have something to say to the Seminoles, and it's not aloha.
We know a lot of players on Florida State, and you know, we don't want to lose to them, because you go home and you have to listen to them tell you, you know, how they beat you this year, and you know, we haven't had to experience that since we've been here at the university, and you know, we don't plan on doing that quite yet.
Thank you, Ken. Nice job as always. Now, to expand on what Ken was saying, Florida State's roller coaster ride is really what Bobby Bowden is concerned about. 1 week they're terrific, the next week they're terrible. Bobby Bowden doesn't know which Florida team's going to show up today.
Well, if you look at the films, for the most part this year, it's been the offense that has failed to live up to expectations. As Ken pointed out, the pictures were there. The main point of focus is the young receivers. They certainly have put a damper on Kerwin Bell's hopes for the Heisman Trophy this year. But as we said this week, it takes only one Saturday for these young receivers to grow up, and therein lies Bobby Bowden's concern.
And if they gel today, it could be one of those anything-goes Saturdays. To talk more about the receivers, it's funny, their offense is Kerwin Bell, who has had an off year, even by his standards and his own admission.
Well, people have said the offensive line is comparable to other years, but it really hasn't. He's been pressured a lot. And you look at, on the flip side, Danny McManus has only 3 sacks over the last 2 years.
Sure.
There could lie a key to the Seminoles' success.
In just a few moments, we're going to take you inside Florida Field, like we are right now. Only it's empty, as you see. This shot taken just moments ago. When we come back, we'll get down to the nuts and bolts of things, and stick around.
The American Eagle, our nation's symbol. Now it's 1 ounce of pure gold, the first U.S. gold regular issue coin since 1933. Dust Collectors has it in 1/10, 1/4, and 1 ounce sizes. Best of all, Dust Collectors has it available in many personal ways, starting under $100. A Christmas gift of historical significance and lasting value. The American Eagle from Tallahassee's established coin dealer, Dust Collectors.
If you could build your very own radio station, you'd probably want some dynamite music, right? Then you'd give it plenty of power to reach the beach. You'd hire friendly DJs that make you feel great. How about a direct phone line so you could request a song? Then you'd make your station the only official voice of the Seminoles. If that's the kind of radio station you'd build, we've done it for you. Now you can have what you want and take it anywhere. So turn on the only dynamite radio station in Tallahassee, the new 94.9 TNT Country. The country belongs to the new TNT.
Part of your lifestyle. Capital City Bank Group. Here today, here tomorrow.
Come to Coastal Plains Farmers Co-op in Monticello, Quitman, or Barwick for all your farm needs. We have the finest folks in North Florida and South Georgia to give you the kind of service you deserve. During planting time, let our people show you how to get the most for your money. Coastal Plains Farmers Co-op carries vet supplies, feed, fencing products, quality seed, fertilizer, plus much more.
For the best prices and service, come to Coastal Plains Farmers Co-op. Remember, we are owned by those we serve.
Welcome back to our live preview of Florida State, Florida, as we tick it down towards kickoff. Now, during the past 20-odd minutes or so, we have covered many of the intriguing aspects to this game, but certainly not all of them. There are others, and the guy who will call the play-by-play for CBS today thinks he knows a few. That would be Vern Lundquist.
I'm working with Dick Vermeil, who has some experience in rivalries like this. We were talking last night at dinner about the USC-UCLA rivalry. This one is not as old as that one that captivates the country and particularly the city of Los Angeles. But I think the coaches and the alumni here feel like it has the possibility of becoming just as intense as that one. The Florida State obviously is a favored team, but I've been walking around all 3 days looking for something in the air because apparently there's a hex that Florida has on Florida State. I think this year Bobby Bowden's team is, if not the best team in the country, certainly one of the top three, and I fully expect that they will win the game today. I think Florida's got to play a ball control game. If it gets into a high-scoring game, it's all FSU. A lot in my mind depends on Kerwin Bell from a Florida perspective. If they can run a control passing game and get Emmitt Smith, then I think they can keep it close, and if it's close in the fourth quarter, it's a toss-up. I don't think it's going to be close in the fourth quarter. I think FSU will win.
The words of Vern Lundquist. Now, Scotty, all morning long you have been tracing and tacking this team all over the state of Florida. Panhandle, Central Florida, everything. Was it good fun coming in?
It's fun. If you've ever been on the Caravan, and I know you have, boy, those cops stop at the red lights. You zoom on through, even though we had about 35 miles to get here to Gainesville from Silver Springs. But following the Seminoles, they seem very calm, although Coach Bowden, you know, yesterday he was real calm, but as that trip wore on and he was rested in the sheriff's car, I think perhaps he started thinking about all the possibilities, and we caught up with the head man as soon as the Seminoles arrived here at Florida Field.
Game day. How are you today?
Tight. Yeah, I usually get tight about this time, hoping everything goes well. You know, then once we get the kickoff, I'm ready to roll.
That's interesting because yesterday we talked to you and I remarked on the air last night how loose and confident you seem, but obviously with anything, the closer you get, the more the emotions crank up.
Yeah, I think the closer you get to game, you wonder if you've handled every detail. You know, you wonder if you've covered everything. And then when the game starts, you get fired up, boy.
If there is one guy, and this is a cliche question, but it's an honest question, if there is one guy on this team, the Gator team, you don't want to beat you today, who is it?
On the Gator team or our team?
Gator.
Well, I would think Kerwin Bell.
Do you feel good going in?
Yeah, I feel like if we play as good as we can, I feel like we're going to win.
And how's the team feel?
I'm sure they feel the same way.
For a banker, you know some nice restaurants.
By the way, did you hear about Jeff?
I knew it. He resigned.
For a job at Barnett.
Perfect. That's just the kind of place he's gonna love.
He plays a classic over at Sheba.
Okay, so here's to Jeff.
Ooh, I can see him now, working through lunch at his new desk at Barnett.
With his little sandwich.
And his cup of coffee.
What did you order?
Some people work harder than other people. So do some banks.
Half the cars serviced by AMCO dealers don't need a new transmission. That little leak doesn't have to drain your wallet.
AMCO, AA, MCO.
Don't take it out on your car. Instead, aim for the nearest precision tune. The engine performance experts.
Save up to $2,500 on Stanzas, up to $3,500 on pickups, and up to $4,000 on Z-Cars now at the end of the year closeouts at Courtesy Nissan.
Ready or not, here it comes. We're down to kickoff. Who do you like?
Has to be FSU, no doubt about it. 30-10 Seminoles.
Hey, it's unanimous, buddy. I hope you enjoyed the show and enjoy the rest of the holiday weekend. Coming right up, Florida State against Florida. Enjoy the game.
Seminole Preview has been brought to you in part by Barnett Banks. Barnett is Florida's bank.